Hello and welcome to today's historic best of 3 deck tech and gameplay video on Simic Flash. Now, if you are like me and have been playing historic basically since its inception, I think I have been playing it since the inception of the format. At various times throughout history, the history of our formats, Simic Flash has been a deck that's risen and fallen in popularity, but at least in my experience, you still will find it every once in a while. That being said, because Duskmourn is one of the most underwhelming sets in a long time, I've had to go back and sort of make videos on the growing pile that I always have in case there are low point sets like this one. And to that, I figured we go back to Simic Flash with the introduction of Mystic Snake to the format, which is the original Frilled Mystic, and was really sort of what what's the word? The impetus, that's the word, to make this version of Simic Flash. Mystic Snake, and to be fair, the Alchemy Leaf Leap Guide, I'm gonna mess that name up, where Leaf Leap Guide is a creature that can in theory grow throughout the game to represent a particularly large and or scary threat, but the thing that makes it particularly great in this list is the last ability, where you can basically pay 1 and tap it to return a creature you control to its owner's hand. This is most often used, when you can get it to work, on any one of our particularly annoying creatures like a Frilled Mystic or Mystic Snake, or even the Hope Ender Coatl, to effectively get additional uses out of their respective counterspell effects, or what's the mana leak, I think is the name of the one. But basically, it gets you extra uses out of your ETBs on your creatures, or it can just save cards like a Night Pack Ambusher from removal, as well as just be a particularly scary card. Now, what the deck wants to do, besides play a land, pass and go, and wait to counter things with your particular lizard, wizard, snakes, and crap in your rewind, beyond basically playing a sort of control aggro-y, tempo-y thing, where you're just trying to counter spells and produce bodies and be the most annoying thing on the planet, you also in the early game want to ideally play any one of our threats here, like the Guide, or the Suspicious Stowaway, or a Brine-born Cutthroat. So you have a threat that will, if left unanswered, can very quickly run away with the game, can also sort of eat some removal spells, as well as just put a clock on the game. Since counterspell heavy decks do need a way to end the game, any one of these creatures will do that. Of course, with the caveat, if you play the Mystics or Snakes or a Night Pack Ambusher or any creature, you can, in theory, eventually win the game through damage. So you don't strictly need these to win. They're just nice in the early game to sort of get the ball a-rolling. Beyond that, we have some just general glue cards. Vendilion Click to give us some information, a little bit of hand control. Brazen Borrower, again, a little bit of control. It's not a counterspell per se, but sometimes also, if you flicker a thing that has auras attached to it or whatever, you can get extra value out of it. And also, it's just a big body. Rewind for counterspells, Night Pack Ambushers for basically a board on one body that will will end the game if left unanswered, though this is one of the top end threats. And the two sort of all-star Modern Horizons 3 cards, Hope Ender Coatl, we've already talked about being a fine mana leak on a body. But Planar Genesis, and I'm going to posit this here, I believe that's the word. I believe Planar Genesis is just a better version of Growth Spiral. Does the same basic things, but gives you a look at more cards, and therefore you can make better decisions. And that is the basics of the list. We counterspell stuff, we play creatures, we slowly chip until our opponent loses. Our land base, pretty self-explanatory. And really this is, none of these are particularly required. I have breeding pools and fast lands, some of the Modern Horizons lands, but basically you can run whatever lands you want to run. This is a land base that is particularly helpful, or is considerate of whatever land base you have. Got some channel lands and a Hall of Storm Giants for some tech. But the land base is pretty self-explanatory, and you can largely fiddle with this to match whatever your collection happens to be. Sideboard, pretty self-explanatory cards. Tormod's Crypt and Scavenging Ooze for graveyard hates, for different kinds of graveyard hate. Kira, Great Glass Spinner, is a way to sort of give an additional layer of protection to your board. Again, making your game plan even more sticky and resilient. And yet you can kind of, even though it does say this, count Kira as another form of counterspells. Raven form, if you need like a break glass in case of emergency style removal effect. Change the equation against the big green ramp decks like Mono Green Devotion and stuff that are floating around, but can also just be a counterspell if you need it to be. Rift is basically the blue board sweep. Pretty self-explanatory when you want to sweep a board. Negates if you're running into other particularly problematic non-creature permanents, which can be an issue. And a single Fade from History for a sweeper that hits, artifacts and enchantments, because there are a few affinity and or enchantress decks that are floating around, and casting a Fade from History at an even remotely good time can easily win a game. Anywho, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video if you like it, subscribe if you like my grab bag of content and would like to see more in the future, and if you have any sort of questions like I don't have X, what about Y, or other generally nice and or constructive comments, I'll do what I can to respond to what I see. With all that out of the way, we'll go on now to game number 1. And game number 1 with our little Simic Flash list. And before the game gets started, I would like to make a note that this deck is a much better than gold deck. It actually got me to Diamond, which is the one above Platinum and right below Mythic. But it's Halloween as I record this, and the servers reset a few hours ago, so I haven't exactly had time to knock out wins and stuff to get back up to a rank befitting the list. Because regardless of however this... Oh my god, this is another person not here. But regardless of how this deck particularly performs in the video, it is a very good deck. It is not the fastest deck in the world. I really hope our opponent's here, because I did have to throw away a whole game's worth of footage, because the last person wasn't here. But maybe they are. This is fine. 2 lands, several things to do. Okay, they appear to be here. Probably will draw a land. Yeah, okay. It's like a good keeper. It's not fantastic. Typical 3 lands, 4 spells kind of thing is ideal. Go ahead and play the Breeding Pool. Tap, since we have nothing to do anyway. We'll likely play the Leaf Leap Guide. Oh, it's Mono Green Devotion. Cool. This can be a little rough if you don't happen to have counterspells up at a good time. Yeah, just play the guide. Why not? Now we're not going to be able to attack as much with the Twitching Doll. What does this one do again? 2-mana tap, add a mana color, nest counter on it. Tap and sack it. Create a spider for each. Spider with reach for each token. Cool. Gonna go ahead and not do anything there. Yeah, it's about as upright of a list as a list can hope to be. Okay, we're not drawing that 4th land, so we're a little scared, so we don't love that. I guess on the main step, we can see what our opponent has in hand. Get rid of it if we don't like it. Also grow our guide here. If it's a land, this is going to feel so bad. But if it is a land, then at least we have information and nothing else. The reason why we do this on upkeep is just in case it is a particularly scary card we don't want them to have or play. That's pretty good. Get out of here. If it is a particularly scary thing we don't want them to play, it's nice to get rid of it now. Okay, there's a bird. If we draw a land and we have some Frilled Mystics sitting on, that we can sit on, pardon, then we're like really doing peak Simic Flash gameplay. What are we doing? Oh, he's just tapping it for the counters. Okay, I should have been more Okay, that's on me. I was not clear. I should have said untapped land. The game technically gave me what I asked for. It's kind of on me that I didn't bother to specify. They have a fuckload of mana. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 plus... okay. Well, we don't have a counterspell anyway, so we can go ahead and just Brazen Borrower away their Twitching Doll. Also chips into the Devotion, and they can't activate the Doll's ability since we're not at sorcery speed. And yeah, they're just gonna play it again this turn if nothing else, and that's fine. But again, we're just trying to slow them down, since now we actually have the 4 lands to start doing shenanigans with Frilled Mystics. Pardon? You may have Mockingbird enter the battlefield. Let me continue. Enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield with mana value less than or equal to the amount of mana spent to cast it, except it's a bird. That's... That's hilarious. I like that card, though. I don't know if it's, like, the most interesting or good. Or let me rephrase. I don't know if it's the most good, but it is interesting, is what I mean to say. They're almost certainly going to get rid of a Mystic, as they should. But if we only have 1 card in hand, I think we're kind of okay. I kind of don't want to get rid of the click right now. That really helps. I guess we're going to... yeah, we'll attack with a click. Why not? Gotta start applying pressure somehow. If they just block with theirs, that's totally fine. There is a world in which they play some uncounterable green source in the main deck. Possible yes, likely I would argue no. But if they do not, if they do nothing but tap a whole bunch, we can just play a couple cutthroats and really start developing a very scary board. Come on, opponent. I've almost got the degenerate lock-in. Cutthroat number 1. Cutthroat number 2. I'm sure there's technically a way they could like fight at instant speed, but I'll just take the chance. We have now assembled what might be the most annoying lock in the history of the world. We have a massive body and counterspells where they can't really do a whole hell of a lot about it. Our only problem is that we're not drawing more. We have 1, which is nice. He's not going to... Yeah, you don't just crack the doll now. That would be silly. There we go. Our opponent realized that like they were in a particularly rough spot. Mono Green Devotion's pretty simple. Change the equations are coming in. And honestly, Raven forms. The Brazen Borrowers are cool, but like... Usually, who knows what they're listed, is... Once a lot of their high-end threats have entered the battlefield anyway, they've kind of already done the thing, and to bounce them would just actually could arguably help their case. Though they were running weird cards, but they might also just be a budget inclusion, which is fine. Don't mean that in like a negatory or derogatory sense. Just, you know, making observations. Go ahead and play Breeding Pool. Nothing else, we'll just play a Stowaway on 2. Another Twitching Doll. Pretty good to have a snake, though. Play the Sanctum now while it comes into play untapped, and play the Stowaway. Besides being an unblockable threat and some card advantage, it is also a werewolf and gets buffed by Nightpack Ambusher. Oh, you're one of these ones. Okay, that's cool. To be fair, that's actually pretty common. Fucking defense grid. Do I care? Okay, no, almost certainly, no matter what happens, he's gonna have the mana to, like, pay for the Coatl. But I think I still have to, like, attempt to counter. That's so... I have a Boseiju. I don't actually have to care about that. See if our opponent does a whole lot. Oh, please have a fight effect in your mono green devotion list, please. Because your deck is then officially all over the place. The defense grid is weird, but not like so weird that it doesn't like make sense. Make sure to do this at the end step so they can't make use of the mana. It's gonna suck to lose. Oh, it's a bird, and that's okay. The fact that it gets it flying is actually pretty good.
We can do this.
Okay, gonna Beside you down because defense grid doesn't care about activated abilities. Does absolutely stink to lose our 4th land drop because we kind of need that if we're gonna be honest here. But we drew another one. Never. Pardon? What was that? Whatever. That's fine. I mean, we're not gonna get rid of Karn. Just gonna attempt to start chipping it down. Hopefully next turn with a I combined Seafaring and Werewolf to Sea Wolf. That was nice. Hopefully we'll get there. Doing pretty good. Karn down, ticked himself out of the game. Fucking Paradox Engine. What is that one? Untap all non-land permanents. Might as well do the Coatl. We got the mana for it. If he attacks with the werewolf... Oh, he doesn't matter. It's unblockable. I was going to say we take that trade, but I forgot my own card. Go ahead and attack. Draw your card. Any second now. Although, actually, I was talking mad shit to our opponent, but technically with the addition to these Mockingbirds, it's actually like a Simic devotion. But it just, you know, it shares a lot of the same DNA as a what's the damn word? Rewind is huge. It shares the same DNA as a mono green devotion, but just has a couple of cool cards. Hopefully more cool cards than just the Mockingbird. Oh, we have 3 rewinds. We're fucking cooking, baby. We're in it. Hell yeah. Yeah, if they play anything of any remote value, it's getting... Well, we're not doing on that. But for the most part, if they play anything of remote value, as we try again, gonna immediately rewind that mother. Kinnan, get the fuck out of here. Okay, the Kinnan's a little less interesting. Like, yeah, it's blue, and to be fair, they're like clearly committed to the Simic part of this, so good on them. Oh, I'm gonna cast 2 spells and untransform the werewolf, which isn't gonna be great. But I'm gonna be doing it already. Might as well go all in, baby. Untap, 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 untap. Sweetheart, you're in front of the screen. Thank you. Go ahead and pass. They're gonna attack and draw a card, which is fine. See what they do. If anything, odds are we're just gonna play a ambusher and wait, since we're gonna untransform the werewolf no matter what we do. That's pretty good. I want to play the guide and keep up an equation, but they could play like a Karn or something that wouldn't get hit by the equation. And our board's big enough, we don't gotta like sit here and be greedy. We're in a good spot. Honestly, the clicks can kind of go. Go ahead and place a land in the turn. Since we have to. The click is just the worst option in that particular moment. Still a good card. But if you don't strictly have a click and you want to save some wild cards, it's okay. It's not like the deck doesn't work without it. Birds of Paradise resolves all day. Do I care? I don't think I care. Especially with the Night Pack Ambushers. I'm making blockers for the tribe. And they can kind of, if they want to... that's less good. Okay, it's going to enter as a 2 cost of a thing. So it can only be a werewolf. So I think we're okay. Or another doll, I guess. But I imagine it'd be a Seafaring Werewolf, right? Did you cast that for 3? I thought it was for 2. Hang on, what is that? Mana spent. Oh, okay. So it counts all the mana you used to cast it, not what the X cost is. Okay, I didn't entirely read the card. Still don't think I care, right? Keep the breeding pool in case that's what we have to get rid of. Yeah. Draw and discard, see what we find. In that case, that can go. Don't want to shock in a land if we don't have to right now. We're in a pretty good spot. With any luck, next turn we'll be able to actually play a leap if we don't counter a spell. We can always play the guide and continue the what's the word? The degenerate loops of bouncing all my stuff. Okay, Oracle of the Alpha. They are doing more with the blue than I thought they would. Don't know if it's going to help them that much, though. Nyxbloom Ancient. That's just a little bit too much mana. Granted, you can make an argument that you don't counter the ramp tool, you counter the thing they ramp into. But also, not for nothing, the Ancient is a big, chunky boy. And any extra damage we don't got to take is great. Alright, cracks the doll, makes some spooters. It's got, what, 3 mana? I mean, they're getting some mileage out of their werewolf. It's pretty good. I don't like that I'm gonna manually turn off my ambusher for return, but I think we need to do that. Just apply pressure. Attacking with the wolves means that they have to block stuff or they just die. And if we can just do anything to start chipping away at that board. Really? Okay. Okay, they're committed to getting rid of them. I'm sorry, what's up with all the googly eyes? I never actually have seen this card played. Googly eye ass. That's hilarious. Oh, that fucking sucks. But I guess we can get rid of the... Well... Yeah, we can get rid of the equation. Having drawn the Mystic sort of helps make that decision for us. If they don't play anything, we can play an Ambusher. And again, just generally can continue with our annoying plan. Although, we don't immediately die, but we're very close to dying. Take a 2 damage to turn 4. It's not going great. Yeah, weirdly, it's the bird giving the copy of the thing it makes flying that's like really getting me. That's okay. That's ramp tools. That's fine. You don't counter the ramp tools usually. You counter the thing they ramp into. Again, because I know I just said that, but again, much like last time, the Ancient is a big enough threat on his own. That might have been bad actually, because we're not dead, but we're very close to it. If they're... Hang on, do I... Okay, that's fine. Hydra. Okay, hang on, let's see. Okay, how do I live through this, if at all? So we do... Taking 2 down to 3, block a flyer here. So I need to block... I need to basically kill this thing. So Mystic Guide on the Hydra. Then his Trample doesn't get through. Don't know if we just kill them on crackback. Well, okay, they're tap tokens. Okay, I thought they were just regular tokens. Okay, what are we doing here? I'm really gonna lose. Although this does make me... I don't think there's any way I come back from this, unfortunately. If I play the Ambusher, the Stowaway hits for 3. Block, block. It's really unfortunate. But what I was going to say, the weird way they built their list does sort of show me that I think I can actually run some Cyclonic Rifts and be okay. The Raven forms are not as useful as I thought they'd be. It's not the type of deck they were running. I just made a bad call. Cutthroat's okay, but it's a little low impact for this particular matchup. Okay, like Simic Devotion is interesting. And they are doing interesting things with the list, so you can't complain too much. Go ahead and play first. 3 lands, 4 spells. Hopefully we'll like develop a board. Or not develop a board. Sort of get the lock in place before they can really like pop off. Utopia Sprawl's a card. Land go. Oh god. Yeah, that's cool, I guess. That's fine. Don't love that. Why untap it if you don't have anything to do with the mana? They do have something to do. Fair. Okay, this is not... Yeah, okay, yeah, Breeding Pool. You don't like having to shock this in and telegraphing it so much, but to be fair, our opponent knows what we're doing now. They're almost guaranteed gonna have the mana to pay for whatever I happen to hit with this Coatl. Okay. Okay, that's okay. You don't love that. This isn't gonna look... This isn't going great. Circle of Dreams, Druid. Guess we try. Hopefully, by some miracle, this 1 mana they have to pay, which granted they can just do with the colorless, they should gum up the rest of their turn, right? Where's the other mana coming from, right? Just tap the 1 mana. Okay, yes, they can't activate the Nykthos, which is good. Play the Boseiju. Start chipping into Kiora and try and take away the card advantage. This can go either way. I'm kind of in this. Now they're green. Green has access to a load of... Well, green and blue both have access to like big, scary, uncounterable threats. Don't counter the ramp, counter the thing you ramp into. But they both have access to pretty big and scary, this can't be countered permanents. When they have those, we just die. And that is one of the things that will probably keep this list from being like mythic, like top tier good, because it's very good. It's like going pretty good, all things considered. Yeah, go ahead and counter it. It's going pretty good. It can get you to diamond or to plat. No, yeah, diamond's one above plat. It can get you to diamond. It could probably get you to mythic, but I fear that it would struggle to do much more than that. But I might be wrong. And it's never gonna be bad. It's always interesting and a good thing for a format to have access to these things. Yeah. Wasn't great. They are popping off. We're not dead, but we're not looking great. A rewind helps, like a lot. If they attack with the Hydra, we just throw our board into it. I forgot about that part of it. Because that's not usually the part that sees a whole lot of play. Good on him. Yeah, I guess we rewind that. It's not the most interesting. The Aladomri is an interesting ad. Tap 2 1-tap creatures you control. Real card. Top creature card this way. It's weird to have Aladomri and Karn. Because usually, at least in my experience, Karn boards like lean very, incorrectly so, lean very heavily on the strength of their sideboard. It's the reason why you run it at all. Why untap that? Our plan remains the same. We immediately block this. But like a Karn devotion deck leans on the strength of whatever they can pull from the sideboard. You don't really do that with big scary creatures. So I feel like that's a weird. It's not a non-bow. Like it doesn't not work as a deck as a whole, but just the second ability of Aladomri is like really underutilized. That's they have the mana to pay to counter that, so we're gonna Frilled Mystic that bad boy. I was gonna say we're good, but I totally forgot about the Chromatic Aura redrawing them cards, so like we're gonna be in some trouble to match their card advantage. Isn't great. But we did get a really good, big, scary, what's the word? A big, scary counterspell on a thing that would have absolutely destroyed us. Granted, we died to a lot. These Circle of Dream Druids, like, are putting in absolute goddamn work. Nyx's Blue Mansion, well, that doesn't do anything. And this is another thing that sort of stops the upper limits of power, for lack of a better term, on this list, is that basically oh god, okay, it's over. The thing that like stops this deck from progressing really into the higher echelons is a deck like this. Some mono green based devotion list is always going to be really, really popular in the format, and they're just going to have access to a lot of mana and therefore can like sort of not care if you counter one spell because they're going to have access to more spells in one turn than you are. Simic Flash works really well when you can go 1 for 1 and eventually drown people. But it doesn't do well against decks that can sort of play the mana, or have the mana to play multiple spells in a turn, and just sort of let the counter spells hit them, where most other decks don't have the ability to just repeatedly eat counter spells on their things. Probably upticks to get rid of that, which you don't love, if we're being honest. I guess we can rift the... Well, hold on. No. Wait till combat. Make them use things. Yeah, make them use resources. Granted, they can just play the next Blue Mansion again, like next turn, but we're trying not to die here. Guess I order lulled myself and really screwed myself on that one. I could have squeezed some damage out of that. Though it wouldn't have mattered if they take this block, and I'm just trying to remove anything I can get my hands on. If they take that trade, that's fine. Although, sort of correctly, they don't bite. I'm in this game, but I really shouldn't be. Probably just gonna Night Pack Ambusher. Ancient is perfectly fine as a card. Cannon's a card. Just gonna play the Ambusher now, just to remove choice here. You know what? Honestly, I think I need to draw exactly a bounce spell. Oh, it's not tapped. You can just crack the thing. Yeah. Okay, we're good. We're dead. I forgot the Kinnan thing isn't a tap ability. It's just a mana sink. Yeah. I mean, well played from our opponent. And honestly, the deck, like, still kind of did the thing in the one game where we won. Did show what the deck's trying to do. But anywho, with all that out of the way, we'll go on now to game number 2. And game number 2 with our little Simic Flash list. 3 lands, 4 spells, things to do on turn 2. Can't really ask for much more than that. Sweet cat, I love you, but don't touch my food. Traverse the Even Wall. Okay, well I now have no idea what our opponent's running. Alright, I'll move my plate over here. Search your library, basic land, reveal it into hand, delirium. Search your library for creature or land. Okay. Land and go. Again, a sentiment that will often be expressed with a deck like this. Okay, they're also land passing, but in a Gruul list, so that's an interesting choice. I guess we'll play the guide. See if they have some sort of damage base, like a stomp or something, sort of removal to get rid of it. I assume that's what's happening here. But if it gets stomped immediately, that's fine. We're not, like, all in on needing this thing to work. That is a card. Creature, walker, discard. Okay, loot to, or pillage to, or rummage. I think it's Goblin Rummager or Pillager is the name of the card that comes from. Anywho, maybe seeing what they discard with Faithless Looting. Well, let us see what they have, Banana. Thank you for hanging. Oh yeah, oh my God. Oh, some sort of God Pharaoh's gift, like ramp thing. La la, very interesting. Land Pest. Probably gonna bring in a Crypt and 2 Geist, or not Geist. Oozes. I don't know why I said that. Faithless Looting is fine. I'm a little confused on like how they're gonna get to the God Pharaoh's gift. I think there's like I want to say it's like Gate to the Afterlife or Key to the Afterlife, whatever that. I think there's like a colorless card that like oh, is it that fucking Delirium land from Modern Horizons, whatever the fuck that name is? I think that's what they're doing. If that is what they're doing, I am absolutely hosed. I don't really have land hate in this list. So yeah, almost certainly I'm probably going to get Delirium land. The transforming thing with a mountain. Whatever the hell that thing is. Almost certainly they're going to look for that land with the Uvenwald, actually. So this is... I was, like, confused about this at first, but this is turning out to be... Fucking what? Okay. Very sweet doggo. Beginning of your second main, if it is tapped, you may put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. You have no extra mana. Get the fuck out of here. Thank God. Okay, so they're... My call in it being some... The Omniscience is weird. I think they still have that, whatever the fuck, Modern Horizons 3 Forest, but better thing floating around. Seems odd that they wouldn't go and look for that if that's what their deck is doing, though. So maybe they have access to blue and I just don't know it yet? Or are they all in on Kona? That card's interesting. But, like, that doesn't really make a whole deck, though. Unless you have the thing. Doing fine. They're kind of spinning their wheels a little bit, but, I mean, a win's a win. I'll take it. But with rewinds and 2 counter creatures, we're in about as good of a spot as anyone could hope to be. Another Cutthroat means that hopefully we'll be okay. Also, if they have Omniscience, and even if they get it, like, they're not... You can't activate... It's from hand, right? So you can't, like, play the Faithless Lootings for free. Smuggler's Surprise. Mill 4 cards, put up 2 creature cards from... into your hand. So we do... Cutthroat first. Then we rewind. Make our Cutthroats real big. And if they don't have answers, they just die. 1, 2, 3, 4. Still having a snake open. Yeah, doing pretty good. And, like, yeah, another good example of the deck doing what it wants to do. Oh, good. We got this little weird thing. They do appear to be a list that actually might get hosed by Change the Equation. So that's coming in. Some Borrowers can come out. Yeah, Borrowers can still come out for the other two. Bring in some Oozes. Maybe Coatl comes out for a Crypt. Since they know I have the Coatls and we used them, if they're smart as Nick, if they're being, if they're on the ball, that's a good way to put it. They'll like wait a turn to have the mana to pay for Coatl, so it's going to be a little less impactful. Planar Genesis, hell yeah, really growing to love this card. Mulligan down some. I fucking knew they had it. If they pop off with the Woodland, though, we're going to be in some trouble. So that's not going to go great. Since we have 4 lands, and we're going to get there naturally anyway, we can kind of look for a Planar Genesis to find us like an Ooze or some sort of graveyard hate. It's a whole lot of nothing. In that case, go ahead and play the Breeding Pool. We don't got to be that cute about it. We just do the thing. Oh, it's priority to sack the spawn, annoyingly. What do we do here? I guess rewind. I was between that and changing the equation here. And shifting Woodland's gonna get me. That's certainly that makes it even more weird that they didn't just do that last turn or last game. Like, either do whatever you want to do and all that, but like that seemed like a particularly big oof. Go ahead and play the Cutthroats. Hopefully now we sort of have, again, assembled a bit of a lock. Now we'll see if the lock is actually a lock and it's going to matter. It's Delirium, right? 2. What's in here? Nothing we need to worry about. Basically, just the Omniscience are whatever they would like cast with an Omniscience that we need to worry about. If they play nothing, we can always just play it Ambusher and start to like develop a board and put some pressure on them. I'm not gonna lie though, the Eldrazi Scions are pretty good to like accelerating, or for accelerating the Woodland activation. They do nothing, so I play an Ambusher. Develop a board, apply pressure, all the good stuff. They could have some sort of red interaction spell, yes. Play a Coast. Keep the Boseiju. So if they happen to pop off and activate the Woodland into something big and scary, I should, if I understand this correctly, be able to interact at instant speed and channel it. Even if it... Yeah, even if it becomes a creature before it resolves in response, I'll be able to activate it with the Boseiju. I know how that mechanic works, but I'm an idiot, and if you've ever tried to record things and make the right play, it's way harder than you'd think. We're in a good spot here. We're in a really good spot. Sacrifices it for land. I'm actually going to counter this. Hopefully this will make them like a little less gun shy about casting whatever they would cast with their remaining mana. The fuck are they going to cast? Oh, is this going to get like red burn spell? Okay, that's fine. Okay, they're not going to do what I thought they were going to do, so that sort of gums up the works a little bit. No, we got to keep the Boseiju for in response. It's the only responsible thing to do. Gonna do a breeding pool. Again, we don't love manually turning off an ambusher, but we need cards right now. We have sufficient pressure. That's not the axis we're concerned about. And the werewolf, or the stowaway, is a werewolf, so you can make an argument we didn't even really take a turn off. Hell yeah, we'll take that. I like what our opponent was trying to do, just they didn't happen to get there in terms of execution. But I, like always, and I try to be sincere when I say this, I love when people try things. I love when people try things. It is just a game. They're magical internet points. They're not going to matter, especially in a month when the ladder resets anyway. So have a little fun, within reason. You know, not if you're going to take this as a life lesson. You know, have fun within reason, life short, have some fun. But this is a pretty good showing for the list. It's a deck that has always been around in some shape or form, some degree of with regularity, or has always shown up with some degree of regularity. There we go. Throughout the history of the format, it will likely continue to do so if you're like me and plays more historic than most people do, anywhere from 70 to 90%, if you trust those wizards' emails like I do. But yeah, deck is really fun. If you liked Simic Flash in the past and you were just wondering, like, I want a fun new deck to play, or I haven't, you know, tested out Simic Flash in a long time, I wonder if it's got any new cards, this is a great list. I think you could have a lot of fun with it, and you'll actually get some good rewards out of it, both in terms of quest and wherever your rank is, which will again give you more gold and packs and stuff. So if you're trying to get a good bang for your buck, this is a great list to do so. With all that out of the way, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video if you like it, subscribe if you like my grab bag of content and would like to see more in the future. And if you have any sort of questions, like I don't have X, what about Y, or other generally nice and or constructive comments, I'll do what I can to respond to what I see. Remember, I'm pulling for you. We're all in this together.